Welcome everybody to the Miami Marlins season preview. So, Miami Marlins coming off in the playoff year after a pretty surprising 2023 season. Hence, we were good enough to even make the playoffs in the full season, which was awesome. It's always nice to see somebody not so well known. I shouldn't say that. That's bad of me to say. But less fortunate to make the playoffs, and the Marlins were able to break that hump and able to make it to the MLB 2023 playoffs, but got swept by the Philadelphia Phillies in 2 games. Hence, we gave up a grand slam and stuff like that. But since then, Marlins did do their parts in the offseason, although we did lose some of the guys. We did lose Jorge Soler. He's moved on to San Francisco Giants. The big thing was last season, which I reported this when I was in Los Angeles, that Kim Yang was decided she will not come back to the Marlins as GM, so she took off. But then a couple weeks later, the Marlins hired Peter Bendix as new president of baseball operations, which was a good hire. So, what Peter's vision is keep the guys that Kim Yang traded for example, Josh Bell, another good example, Luis Ariz, another terrific example, Jake Burger. So that is something that we're going to keep in mind of. That's the bottom line. Keep the guys around, especially somebody like Luis Ariz, because last season he is the National League batting champs. He's one of the only guys ever who have batting champs in back-to-back years in 2 different leagues. He did that with the Minnesota Twins in 2022, win the American League batting title, and then next season, National League with the Marlins. So that's pretty awesome. So, now we talk about the roster. So, I was going to make the preview this morning or early afternoon, but then the news broke out that the Marlins traded for John Cruz from the Yankees minor league system, and in exchange for him, we give away John Birdie, which is a complete shock, to say the least. It was a shock for a couple reasons. He's always the big. He's one of the best players that we had. Great human being to be part of. A really fast runner, a good hitter. Not necessarily a home run type hitter, but he's the guy that can steal bases for us. And he was that good. He was seriously that good. I'm gonna miss him though. I'm really gonna miss him. Marlins did do a lot to get some of the prospects to fill up our farm system. They signed more prospects or traded more prospects than to sign actual players, which they did. They did sign one actual good player, Tim Anderson from the Chicago White Sox. He reunites with Jake Burger. So that's the hitters thing. The catchers, Jacob Stallings is no longer with us. Instead, we do get Christian Bethancourt to be part of the team. The outfielders, more or less the same, except for Nick Gordon. Nick Gordon is one of the new guys that we have. The pitchers, right? So this one's definitely a talking point for us, because there's a couple of guys. One of them is Sandy Alcantara. Probably won't play this season because of the fact that last season he had to get Tommy John surgery, which is pretty much 2 years of rehab and recovery with that elbow. It's terrible. And then you also got Yuri Perez, who hurt his finger. I think it was his finger. But the good news is no surgery needed, so he has to take his time before eventually coming back out. But right now, I'm reading this off of Isaac Azout. I reposted this. It's not official, but this could be the speculation, and it could very well be it. So let's take a look. So for the catchers, we got Christian Bethancourt and Nick Fortes, who still remains with the Marlins. I think Nick Fortes is fantastic. I'm glad he's sticking around. The infielders, we got Josh Bell, who covers first base, Arise, who covers second base, Jake Berger, third base, shortstop Tim Anderson, and then you got the backups. You got Jonah Bride and Vidal Brujan. Then you got the outfielders. You got Jazz Chisholm, who will play center field. Obviously, Garcia, which people are complaining about why he hasn't been traded away. Simple fact that he is a pretty decent defender off the right side. Jesus Sanchez, also the right field. I think is right field. As far as I remember, yeah, I think so. De La Cruz with the left outfield, and then Nick Gordon, who is an outfielder in the central. So we got Nick Gordon, also can freaking throw. I mean, he can throw right at him. So be prepared for that. Now, for the starting rotation, this is speculation, but it could very well be. And I think it's well-deserved. Jesus Luzardo is going to be the one who starts off the Marlins on opening day. He's going to be the first pitcher to do so. So congratulations, Jesus Luzardo, for that. Isaac is out. Put AJ Puck as the next starter. Really? Okay. It's interesting to have that there. And then the next is Ryan Weathers. Interesting choice to put that there. And then the fourth option, you got Trevor Rogers, who coming off an injury from last season. And the fifth in the starting rotation, they give it to Max Meyer. I think it's a good move to put him as a fifth starter. Max Meyer started debuted in 2022, and then got hurt, had to do Tommy John, and now he's gonna be starting again. So pretty long time recovery for Max Meyer. Definitely looking for some retribution rebound. And then you got the bullpen, Tanner Scott, who is pretty much our closer. Andrew Nardi is still around. George Soriano, still around. Anthony Bender. And then the guy also coming off an injury, we haven't really seen much of since 2020 season. Sixto Sanchez, that's an interesting pitcher we look at. He's going to be coming off of the bullpen. Then you got Declan Cronin, Brian Hoeing, and the newly addition from, I believe it was the Tampa Bay Rays, Birch Smith, who recently got earlier today, I believe. He was the new guy who we got, as well as other prospects from different teams. Now we got the roster out, which that's speculation, but it will appear so, as that would be the case, especially when it comes to pitchers. Just a minor note, there was some Twitter feud between, or I wouldn't say Twitter feud, but there was some feud between Jazz and Miguel Rojas, the former Marlin. So go check that out. Anyway, tomorrow, which that's around this time of the recording, it's opening day. Let's go. We start at 4:10, and we start against a team that we beat to get to the playoffs, the Pittsburgh Pirates. And that's going to be at Lone Depot Park. That's going to be fantastic. Pretty exciting to see. Pretty excited to watch this series. I think we got that one. So that's the first March matchup. And now this thing frozen. So we got Thursday, who's a 4:10. Friday game is 7:10. Saturday 4, and Sunday, well, typically 1 o'clock. Do you think the roof would be open? I hope so. Then the next series is against the Angels. So the Angels are going through a massive rebuild because Shohei Ohtani, we know that story with him, go to the Dodgers, and then there's some controversy with his interpreter, going through some gambling and stealing from Shohei. That's just interesting. I think we got that series. We should be able to get that series. Then we go to St. Louis in the 4th to the 7th. That's always a tough series to play against St. Louis. Then we go to New York to play against the Yankees at the Bronx. April 8th is the interesting one because not in Florida, but up in New York, there's going to be an eclipse that's going on. So I'm not sure whether or not New York City is going to see part of the eclipse. Most likely we're probably going to see the partial eclipse. Buffalo is going to see a total eclipse, but that's unrelated. Anyway, the Monday game is 2:00. I might attend that one. I might not. But the other two are at 7:00 on a pretty chilly night. Then we go back home to play against Atlanta, which is always tough to play against Atlanta. Then the next series against the Giants. One of them is a 12-10. Then we go up to Chicago to play the Cubs. One of them is only a 7:40 game, and then the rest of the series would be 2:00. Well, 2:20 to be exact. Then we go to Atlanta, which is always tough to play Atlanta. I don't know if we got that one. Washington, we got Washington next after that. Now, one thing I want to point out before I continue, the weekday games, they're typically going to be at 6 or 7. These ones are especially Friday ones are going to be at 7:10. That hardly happens now, but I think on a weekday there's going to be 6:40, which is now a typical time for the Marlins. Saturdays, they're typically going to be at 4:10, and Sunday they're going to be at 1:40. I think each game, they have their unique colors. For example, Friday, I think it's midnight black. Saturday, they go back with red colors. And Sunday is blue. I think that's the case. And then after the Washington series, we got the Rockies, which the Washington series goes from Friday to Monday, which is pretty odd. But after that, you got the Rockies, who, for whatever reason, we struggle against. We got them next. Then we go to Oakland, California. What could be the last time ever to go to the Coliseum. Because for one, the Coliseum is a piece of garbage and the lease is up. And who knows if the Athletics are going to go to Vegas after this season. Who knows? But our first West Coast trip, one of them is at 9:40 p.m. Eastern Time, and the other two are fairly early at 4:07 p.m. So, kind of lucky with this weekend. Kind of lucky. The next series, we go to Los Angeles. Not very lucky. At least that's for me. For me, at least. Of course, you got 10:00 West Coast from Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday is a 3:00 one, so that's not terrible. Then we come back home, play against the Phillies, who almost made it to the World Series, but got beat by the Diamondbacks. Then we go to Detroit, this time with no Miguel Cabrera. Then we come back home, play against the Mets. That should be a fun one. Then Milwaukee. We got Milwaukee next. And speaking of the Diamondbacks, we go back to the West to play against the National League champions, the Arizona Diamondbacks. And one of them is an FS1 game. So a national televised game on FS1 on May 25th. Awesome to see. It's always awesome to see the Marlins go on national television. Always awesome. Then we go to San Diego. One of them is a 6:40 game, which I'm surprised. I'm surprised that's the case. Although then again, that I think it's Memorial Day. Memorial Day. And then back to 9:40. So that's an easy. Right there is an easy West Coast series. And then we play against the World Series champs. Oh gosh, we got the Texas Rangers, the World Series champ. Then we got the Tampa Bay Rays in Lone Depot. Then we go to Cleveland. We stay home and we play against Cleveland Guardians. And one of the games is actually on Fox. And this one is a 7:35 game. I'm shocked. I'm shocked they put this at 7:35. Not that I'm complaining, but it's on Fox. I guess they need to place out the schedule. I don't know. But either way, this game is on Fox. So that's a national televised. Then they go up to Queens to play against the Mets. Then they go to Washington, D.C. to play against the Nationals. I almost said Capitals for some reason. Then we go back to play against St. Louis. We stay around to play against Seattle, which you remember Julio Rodriguez. Well, his first career home run in 2022 was at that ballpark. I'm not joking. Go look it up. Then we go up to Kansas City to play against the Royals, who, as of right now, are still thinking whether or not they should stay in Kansas City. Then they go to Philadelphia for a 4-game series. That's it for June. Then July, we got the Boston Red Sox at home, and the Boston series is a 4th of July game. So Fish versus America. Red Sox to be exact. They were the Boston Americans a long time ago. So anyway, it's a 1:00 game on that Thursday. Then after that, we got the Chicago White Sox. Oh gosh, so Jake Burgers and Tim Anderson's former team coming down to Miami. Then we go to the West to play against Houston Nationals. Oh gosh. And then we go up to Cincinnati to play against the Reds. Then we come back play against the Mets for a 4-game series, which expands all the way to Monday. Wow. Then we got Baltimore next. Oh gosh, Baltimore Orioles is going to be a tough team. Also, rest in peace to their owner. Then we go to Milwaukee, play against the Brewers. Then we go to St. Petersburg to play against the Tampa Bay Rays, who is still doing the ongoing stadium talks, right? Then we go, and this Tampa Bay series not bad enough, we go up to Atlanta. Great. For the 4-game series. Great. Then we go back to play against the Cincinnati Reds for a 4-game series. All there at 6:40 p.m. Then, next series, San Diego. Then we go to Philadelphia for a 2-game series, followed by the Mets series. Then we go back to play against the Diamondbacks for a 3-game homestand. Then we play against Chicago. I could imagine that could be flexed for a national televised game. Then we go to Denver, Colorado, play against the Rockets for a 4-game series. And then we go to the Bay Area again to play against the Giants for a 3-game series. Then 2-game series against the Nationals. 4-game series against the Phillies, which goes from Thursday to Sunday. Then we go to Pittsburgh, where we got our playoff clinching at. Then back to Washington, D.C. we go. Come back home, play against the Dodgers. Then followed by the Atlanta series. Then we go to Minnesota to play against the Twins. Then we end our regular season against the Blue Jays. Yes, that is how our regular season ends. To play against the Blue Jays, the Toronto Blue Jays. So we end our season in Canada. So, in terms of my prediction, I don't know whether or not we're going to make it to the playoffs. That is a really tough. It's even tougher, especially for a team like us to make it to the playoffs back to back. So I'm going to be a bit pessimistic with this one. I don't think we make the playoffs in this one, but there's a silver lining to this, in my opinion. I believe that season will be good, but not good enough to make the playoffs. I hope I'm wrong with this one. My point here, as it's cliche every year, we're building up the future. Our future is looking bright. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, at least. But we'll see what happens with this one, as the Miami Marlins set to play tomorrow afternoon against the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm very excited to watch the Marlins play. So, yeah, am I mentally prepared to watch every single game? We're about to find out. We're about to find out, folks. So anyway, that's going to do it for this one. If you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe our content, go fish, because Miami teams you guys are back, and when he does, he'll be right there with the fair team that you deserve. Am I going to any Marlins games this season? Yes. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it. And I'll see you guys next time. Tomorrow, Marlins recap. Good night, everybody.